I know.
You sinner. Oh my god! Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode. This one is a very special one that is near and dear to my heart because it covers something that I've always had a secret obsession for. But before we get into that, I am going to talk about kind of my gaming experiences that I've had throughout my life. My first console was an Xbox. Yes, I know I can hear the groaning of the PlayStation fanatics, but calm down. I had a PS3 as well as my 360, so I'm team both. I don't know if that's how that works, but I support both. My obsession with gaming has started from a very young age. When I first got my Xbox at the age of 8 years old, it was a shiny new thing that I didn't know how to work at first, but when I put in the old video game of the Incredible Hulk, I knew it was fate. It just started to grow from there, and now I just can't go back. Oh God. So this week's episode is going to be centering around zombies. Yes, you heard me correctly. The zombie apocalypse, especially in video games. There's nothing more freeing to me than playing a first-person shooter zombie apocalypse game. Y'all, I have been planning for the apocalypse since I was 13 years old. That is not an exaggeration. I have a plan, a team ready. If you cannot keep up with me, you're getting left behind. That's just how it's gonna go. This week's episode is going to be dedicated to the top 5 zombie games that I am obsessed with. Number 5, we all know the original game to be Red Dead Redemption. However, Red Dead Redemption came out with a DLC called Undead Nightmare, which takes place in the same world as the original game. So you have a Western video game with a very good storyline, solid characters, but then you add zombies on top of it. What's not to like? The reason why this game is on my list is because ROCKSTAR Games has this habit of making stupid things in games, but in the best way possible. He also spends the rest of the DLC trying to find the cure to this virus that spreads all throughout the land. For its time, it has some pretty good graphics, and the gameplay is a little bit wonky because what do you expect with Xbox 360? Number 4, Left 4 Dead 2. Yo. This game is so near and dear to my heart, and it had to be on the list because I truly believe that it was one of the first games to ever revolutionize the zombie apocalypse genre in video games. It was one of the first games that I acquired when I was younger, and it is a first-person shooter. It was one of the only video games that I could play over and over again with one of my are the character but at the same time they're not. And also it was one of the first games to introduce different types of zombies. We got the smoker, jockey, the tank, spitter, the hunter. We got all kinds of things in that game. It gave you a lot of things to adapt to, which I really appreciated the game for. Number 3, Dying Light came out about 4 years ago, and it is also a first-person shooter zombie game. It is so complex. You play as this main character named Crane, a government agent that is sent to infiltrate a certain quarantine zone. He's sent in there because he's doing government things as governments do, which we won't get into on this episode. The unique thing about this game is that it focuses on the sport of parkour. You get to leap from buildings, from rooftops, you get to climb up things, and it's a very open world, which I really love about this game because usually a lot of zombie apocalypse games are very closed off into little spaces. Dying Light gives you the entire world that is Hurrah. The graphics are stunning in that game. I truly think as Dying Light came out and the series of games that followed, that's when graphics started to mold into what we see today. I think that kind of spearheaded everything, especially in 2015. Number 2. I'm sad that this is number 2 on my list. I wish I could put it. You know what? I can because I can control this video. This is number 2 and number 1 to me. The Last of Us is one of the most beautiful games I have ever picked up or purchased. The Last of Us follows the main character Joel and he takes us through a very, very heart-wrenching journey through the world that is now the zombie apocalypse. This is also another game that explores the different types of creatures and monsters and zombies in the world. I read an article on the game a couple of weeks ago, and they were trying to say that the creatures in the game aren't necessarily considered zombies, but they're considered more infected, and you can definitely see that. Detailing of the skin, the sores, everything. It's so good. For a PS3 game, the graphics were so good for its time. The voice acting is phenomenal. It was one of the games that restored my faith in good storytelling, especially through video games. And that's something that I always look for in a video game, which is kind of my downfall because it narrows down a lot of choices for me. But if I'm not involved in the story, then I can't be involved in the game. And The Last of Us definitely delivers on the game. It delivers on the gameplay. It's so simple and it's easy to pick up, and you get so attached to what's going on. So I'm definitely going to give The Last of Us a 4.7 out of 5. Number 1. Okay, where do I start with this? I first picked up this game in 2013. One of my friends gave it to me and was like, hey, you can use my Steam account to play this. And I was like, oh, this kind of looks stupid because, not gonna lie, the TV show is starting to get very redundant on its, 100th season? So I was like, you know what? This might not be for me. I start playing. And then I start playing the second episode, the third episode, the fourth, and the fifth. Suddenly I am a sobbing mess on the floor of my dorm freshman year in college. What is this game? The Walking Dead game by Telltale. When I say that this game is my all-time favorite, I'm not exaggerating. Anyone who's close to me will tell you how many times I have played this game through over and over and over and over. It follows the character of Lee Everett, and he is caught at the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. You kind of see it go down, and he has one of the most emotional character arcs in a game, aside from Joel in The Last of Us. I really do think that Lee comes in right behind Joel, because you grow with him and you see how he grows as a man and from his past mistakes. It's just so beautiful. The format of the game follows the choice making, so every single choice that you make in the game affects your outcome, which I think is really cool because it kind of gives you that edge and that anxiety of, did I make the right decision? And if you didn't make the right decision, then the game makes sure that you know that you didn't make the right decision. Also, can we talk about Clementine? Her story is very heartbreaking. I won't go into too many spoilers about it, but she is the companion of Lee, and the series follows the rest of her story. Even the music of the game is just so good. And this is actually a song from the game that is underneath my voice right now. That is one thing that I'm going to be pushing in videos, the orchestration of video games, because it is definitely an unnoticed thing that people don't really pay attention to, but the music draws you in The Walking Dead, and it's just, please go and buy it. That is all I have for the top 5 zombie games that I am obsessed with. And now for the artist of the week. This person is a local actor and performer that I know of. I truly do believe that his product needs to be pushed. His name is Jefferson Harwood. He has a radio show called Sincerely Broadway that airs every Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Every week there's a different theme, and he opens with an overture that has to do with that theme. He does a lot of segments. Some include Broadway tea and what's happening in KC. He also has a Facebook page dedicated to the radio show, so please go like him and please follow him on Spotify as well. He's also on there. Jefferson is putting out a lot of really good content. I listened to a few of his episodes earlier this week and it is absolutely brilliant, so please, please, please go and support him. You can also find his radio show on k-ru.org. In the description below, I will be posting links to Jefferson's radio show, so just in case you don't feel like going too far, it will be right underneath this video. That is all I have for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Be on the lookout for next week's episode. It is going to be covering a lot of more serious things. If you want to start a discussion, that is what these videos are for. I am always open-minded to those kinds of things, and talking about these topics is what I want to do. And merrily, we bop along. Bye, guys! Oh.